We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc in theaters. And also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up. Hey, everybody, it's Craig.
Hey, it's Scott.
Hey, it's Andrew.
Welcome to episode number 30 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. This week, we're going to talk about the Avengers. And for those of you who had a minor heart attack, no, we're not going to talk about Infinity War. Stop asking us.
Not this week.
That's next week.
We're not about that whole ruining of the movies for you. But fair warning, as the fine gentlemen over there on the east end of the province have said, watch it, because we're gonna talk about it next week.
I'm more central, thank you.
It's the east end of the province, arguably. Okay, we're gonna take a break.
I am Central Ontario.
We're gonna take a break right now in the middle of my intro to have a debate about Ontario geography. That's fine.
Sounds about right.
Look at a map. It's the eastern part. There's a lot more west than there is east of you.
He called it the eastern part.
That will come up later as well.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna talk John Mulaney, but that's also just a fancy way of saying what we watched this week, because Scott's not gonna have a chance to talk.
That's cool. I didn't watch much.
And yeah, that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna give Scott his chance to talk now by saying what I think of the Avengers. The first two movies, obviously, is what we're talking about.
Yes.
I don't think this is a surprise to either one of you. I was a different man back then, but I didn't particularly like the Avengers.
I think
6 years ago.
I think girls actually say that. I used to be a different person.
I was such a different.
That was a Crystalia reference.
Yes, it is. We're all on it anyway. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
No, we're talking Avengers. Avengers.
Yeah,
you didn't like the first one.
I did not. Tell you why? No, because
yes.
I can't remember. Because I didn't like it. Because it's been a while.
See, I want to dive into maybe why you might not have liked it. So, like, when you went and saw the Avengers the first time, had you seen any of the MCU movies before that?
To it. I think we talked over each other there.
Oh, that happens sometimes.
It does when the internet gets all hung up. What did you say?
Okay.
So
he asked.
Yeah. Reiterate, Andrew, so I don't talk again.
He asked if you had seen any of the other MCU movies at that point when you saw Avengers the first time.
Yes, I did.
Which had you seen?
I had seen almost all of them.
Okay. So Avengers is what made you fall off the train for a bit, eh?
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
did you go with me to see it the first time?
Probably. It's not like I saw. It's not like I saw it like last week and didn't like it.
Well, no, that's what I was trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out if you were seeing it in a vacuum, so you were confused or not. Like if you hadn't seen them, but you were prepared and you didn't like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're getting a little deeper.
I had a general idea of who the characters were. It just didn't resonate with me, I guess, is the best way to put it.
That's understandable. Not everything resonates with everybody. I hate Titanic.
Well, I don't like Titanic either, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
No, we're talking the first Avengers. So I wrote down some of my favorite scenes from it. So I want you to tell me which of these scenes you hate the most then, Craig, since you just hate this movie so much.
We'll see if I remember it.
Okay, so the first one I've written down was the first time we see Thor, Iron Man, and Cap meeting and have a big fight in a forest, which they end up knocking down with some lightning and a shield. Do you remember that part at all, Craig?
Nope.
Nothing about that at all.
Not even ringing a bell over here.
That was a prolific scene.
It was a very great scene. It's the first time we see these three heroes meet on screen. It was one of the first times in like cinematic history you had three major heroes like this on screen at the same time. And Craig, you just forgot about it.
And
you get to see that they're all bullheaded. They all have egos out the ass.
Oh yeah.
All three of them.
Yes, but I like that scene a lot because it's a really great intro, and Craig obviously just doesn't remember it whatsoever. So we'll move on to the next scene I have written down, which is all the helicarrier scenes, because I like the helicarrier. It's freaking dope. Do you remember what a helicarrier is, Craig?
I do remember the helicarrier. Thank
Okay.
you, Scott.
Just checking, just making sure.
I do remember that. Shockingly enough.
Yes, but I like the fact that this was like a kind of, it was almost like a flying disaster waiting to happen, which you knew the whole movie and you were just waiting for it. And I thought the disaster they ran into was
even Bruce
fun.
Banner at one point says, "Oh, this is much worse."
Yes, exactly. Yeah, have the Hulk way up in the sky, and they proved that by almost crashing it, just because Loki. That whole thing was a little bit of a kind of weird plan, though, on Loki's part. Like, his plan was to tell Scarlet Witch that he wanted to use the Hulk so that she would run off.
Black Widow.
Did I say Scarlet Witch again?
Yes,
Damn it.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, I always do.
Yeah,
That's
so
literally
you're
exactly why it
confusing-
happens
you're confusing
every
movies, yeah.
time.
You got the word right.
Always, that's so. I can literally have a flashback to this has happened at least twice before on this podcast. Black Widow, yeah. So his whole plan is to get
There we
Black
go.
Widow to
Natasha Romanoff.
yeah, to go tell Banner that he's supposed to go angry, and then he ends up going angry. It's all baffling to me. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
What? I don't get why he decides to go angry. That's a little bit baffling. Anyways, that's not important. What else do I have written down? Oh, the Battle of New York. So, Craig, do you remember the Battle of New York? It's half the movie.
That's just saying the Battle of New York doesn't bring anything out, mostly because I could see anything happening as the Battle of New York.
That's fair. It is a big,
what I
like I
mean?
said, it's half the
Yeah.
movie.
And it's common. It's basically a movie trope at this point.
Well, that movie started that.
That or Chicago. New York or Chicago get destroyed all the time.
Yeah. Well, Chicago's mostly in the Transformers.
Why don't we go
I
to
believe.
Kansas City?
Well, same with Rampage.
Oh, and Rampage.
Spoilers.
My bad. I didn't see Rampage. But I just
That city just gets beaten the shit
Yeah.
out of it.
That's fair. That happens. But that's why we like watching these things. So I like
true.
the Battle of New
Big
York
boobs.
because it's one of the first times we see a battle of that scale in a superhero movie. Oh, sorry. At this point in
Oop.
yeah, I was knocking my mic everywhere. But yeah, it was the first time we see even though now it's kind of Craig said, kind of a superhero movie trope is the faceless army, but when this came out, it was the first time we had gotten that big of an army and this many heroes getting to fight up against them. So I always just really love rewatching the whole sequence where you see each of the heroes getting to use their individual abilities in different scenarios while just fighting a bunch of faceless freaking aliens. So yeah.
Was it the amount of one-liners, Craig? Was that what deterred you from
I
this
can see
movie?
that.
Because it
I think
is
so.
because it is filled to the brim with borderline unnecessary one-liners.
I will agree with that. That's one thing with most Marvel movies, really, is they
Yeah.
sometimes put a little too much of those, oh, we think this line's are really funny, we're gonna throw it in. It's well, sometimes we don't need those every single time.
Tony Stark calls Thor Point Break twice in this movie.
See,
And he goes out of his way for the second time.
Yeah.
What probably happened is they got a room full of writers together, and one of the writers was like, "Oh, this is really good," and then they wrote it down. The rest of them were like, "Oh, it doesn't fit anywhere," and they put it in anyway.
Yeah.
They were the
Probably.
inclusive. Group.
it is
They knew they were going to get fired, so you know what? Screw this.
Let's put
Let's
everything
avenge
we've
ourselves.
ever written into this movie right now.
Let's avenge ourselves. Let's just put random one-liners in that we think are funny. These are jokes for us for later.
And then all their contracts got renewed for every single Marvel movie ever.
Yeah. And they're like, "Ugh, now we've set the trend. Damn it.
Now we have to come up with one-liners all the time.
All the time.
Now we've resorted to, what are those? It's
Yeah. Now we've
Which is probably, just a side tangent, is probably my least favorite line in the entirety of the Black Panther.
I
Yep.
agree. I'm just
Yeah.
unnecessary.
It-
I actually liked the sandals personally.
Yeah, I thought they
took me
were.
out
They
of
looked
the movie.
they looked comfortable.
makes sense. I need to get a pair of those sandals myself.
Those sandals looked very comfortable. They looked feasible. I mean, runners in Africa, from what I've been told, they actually run barefoot.
She has a
So
point,
it makes
though.
sense for him to wear
be wearing
flip-flops.
sandals in a laboratory.
That I will give you. I
cares?
will concede that point. That's a safety issue. That's a health and safety issue. They could
Yes, we don't wear open-toed shoes.
They could have health and safety department.
I didn't see a poster posted anywhere. They need to talk Wemyss up in that
That's
bitch.
a good counter.
Boom.
Yes.
Wakanda, get some Wemyss up in there.
They really need a health and safety policy, and I personally won't watch any more Marvel movies until they do.
Until I
add
see
one.
some implementation of
There we
a health
go.
and safety policy.
That's it.
I also want to know about their health and dental plans. I want to make sure everyone's covered here. I don't want
Yeah.
them having to resort.
Some of the
to-
stuff is some of the stuff they're going through.
Yeah.
Like that's dangerous.
some
Okay.
dangerous stuff. But we should probably get back on
horrible
track
for your
to
knees.
Yeah. Yep. Especially when they do the superhero landings.
Handler
Exactly.
landings are terrible for the knees. I think it's like one in every. Oh no! I think that was a bad stat. Never mind. Ignore that. Move on. Next thing.
Okay.
This horrible stat brought to you by Forgot to Grow Up.
Yeah. One in every superhero that does a superhero landing ends up with
Yeah,
arthritis.
it was supposed to be like 9 out of 10 end up with something. And then I was like, wait, why did I say one first? Damn it! I'm screwing this up. Ah.
Damn it.
Shall we get back on track though to Avengers?
Yes.
Or
Let's
That
make
might
an
be a good
attempt to,
idea.
anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I let you guys know what my last two favorite things I had written down was, just because I wrote these down after I watched
Yes.
the movie?
Let's do it.
So I got
Let's do
Hulk
it.
smashing that giant space whale thing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yep. Because Banner's always
He's
angry.
always angry, which I love that line. It's awesome. It's just a cool scene.
I love the line and I love the change. I didn't like it afterwards. I don't like sitting here thinking like, well, if you're always angry, why do you ever turn into the Hulk? Like, shouldn't you have counteracted that entirely, or do
why
you
are
guys
not
have
constantly Hulk?
Yeah. It's a cool, badass line. I'm not going to take that away. I remember hearing it first, and I was like, oh, gasp. And even now, I'm like, fuck yeah, so good. But then I think about it, and I'm like, the logic behind it isn't.
See, I feel like
there.
I kind of like connected with it more, because I'm like, yeah, I understand. I'm always mad. But
Yeah, because you're always angry, though.
yeah, but you gotta control it still. I don't go around hulking out all the time. I just wait till people are on my way on the bus, and then I throw an elbow. That's how I hulk out.
Throw bows.
That's how I hulk out. And I rant once a week, for YouTube. That's a little plug for our YouTube channel. Check it out. Forgot to Grow Up on YouTube.
Shamelessly plugging.
Always. Every
Yeah,
single
even I
day.
watch our YouTube channel sometimes.
Yep.
Someone's got
Sometimes. I thought that's who our view was.
Yeah. Him, Andrew's mom, sometimes my mom.
Nope, not even my
No,
mom.
she gave up on YouTube.
My mom doesn't watch on YouTube anymore. She switched over to Podbean.
Oh,
That's the true refined method for
Yeah.
consuming the
that's
Because-
farther.
Because she couldn't play solitaire on her tablet
Well.
and watch it at the same time. So I was like, okay, let's
I
solve
com-
this
I
problem.
commend
I
that
got
choice.
it for you.
That
I
choice.
support
we got
her
the-
decision. That's how I would
So we
listen
go-
to it as well.
Yeah.
If I
So we got
needed to listen
Podbean
to it.
uploaded, and then we just subscribed, and now it automatically downloads for her, and she just has to hit play.
Yeah, that's good.
We made life easier for
Which
Mama
is
Bear.
what all of you 6 who are listening to us should do with your
Yeah.
mothers as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Podbean.
Get us
Subscribe.
up to at least 11.
I don't know. Every week or so, I get emails saying that we have new followers. So there must be somebody listening. That or
It's just my mom accidentally
Yeah, I'm
unfollowing and then
unfollowing,
following
yeah.
again.
Yeah, I don't want to break that to you guys, but yeah, we
Yeah.
still are at 4.
Yeah. It's my mom accidentally subscribing and unsubscribing constantly. But yeah, I never fully accepted it. I like the line, but I'm always angry. Like, then why do you ever change, or why aren't you always the Hulk?
Because that's just when he lets it
Like-
out. That's just when he lets it out. Anyways, neither of us could agree with the other one on this one.
It's just,
Huh?
I was gonna say we're gonna Hulk out on each
Yeah,
other.
we don't want to do that. This is a peaceful podcast. We like yelling at other people.
Yeah, exactly. Save for people who maybe don't deserve it, but they do.
Yes, exactly. About irrational things, because,
Yeah.
that's how we roll. But the last thing I had written down just was shawarma, which is, I just like the shawarma joke, and is
Where he wakes up, I want to try shawarma.
Yeah.
I want to try
And then
shawarma.
that
There's
they-
a place down the road.
and then that they throw it in as a post-credit scene.
Yeah,
Like,
that they actually go.
Yeah, which apparently they filmed like a few months after the movie was done filming, and like Chris Evans has a beard, But if
Yeah.
you watch the scene, he's like, all they did to get around it was have him sit with his like hand cover in his face. And every time I rewatch
That's what they should have done in Justice League. Just had him be like, "Oh yeah,
said,
man, I gotta think about this answer right now."
Yeah, exactly.
Superman just has a really itchy nose the whole movie.
Oh man, Superman, are you on coke? Oh no, it's Krypton coke. It's cool.
No.
It's cool.
I just still got some of that kryptonite up my nose.
Is there a bathroom around here?
You guys didn't see? I got hit with 2 kryptonite gas grenades. That shit messes with your sinuses.
That's what it is. Forever.
Yes, but the other thing I liked about the shawarma thing was that apparently after shawarma popped up in this movie, like shawarma sales worldwide like quadrupled because everyone's like, "Huh, what's shawarma?" And I'm like, "That's the only reason I ever tried shawarma."
It's delicious.
That's
what it is.
And I lived off that my first year of college. True fact, partially. It was that in Subway.
Damn. Does that count if it's Subway shawarma?
No, I meant it was half Subway was my diet was half Subway, half shawarma.
Oh, okay. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. I thought you meant like you got it at
Yeah,
Subway. I
no,
was like,
no,
I don't think that counts as
do
legitimate
that.
shawarma,
I
man.
don't do that, no.
That's like eating Subway falafel. It is not the same
That's
thing.
just, that's sacrilege.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know the
Or eating
definition of that.
the Subway rib sandwich and thinking it's a McRib.
Oh, God.
That's not diarrhea and sadness.
I've made those, and they are just depressing looking. Every time I made one, I lost a little bit of my soul. And I'm just like, I feel bad.
Diarrhea and sadness. That's what it is.
But anyways, that was all the things I had written down for Avengers. Craig, did any of those things convince you that maybe you should reconsider your opinion about it?
I think that now that I'm a different person, I should probably rewatch it. It's Netflix's fault for taking it down because I probably would have already rewatched it.
That's fair.
When in doubt, blame the flicks.
Well, that's a combination
always
of
the
Flicks
Flix's
and
fault.
Disney, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think my brother has it on DVD, so maybe I'll steal it from him.
that's a good idea. I approve of
Boro,
that.
we don't
Yeah, I
condone
was gonna say, we
theft
don't
on this
condone
podcast.
theft.
I condone theft
Borrow
from
it
siblings.
with the
I
intent-
condone theft from
Yeah.
siblings. My siblings stole from me plenty growing up. Bastards. Like my Joe.
Long-term borrowing, man. It's called a mortgage. Get on board.
I'll mortgage the DVD from him.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So I'm gonna hit you with one of my favorite scenes. It's when Loki takes all the people out of the museum and he tells them to bow.
Yep.
Okay. Outside of the one old guy who's like, "Hell nah, Playboy." That's not a direct quote, by the way.
Not even close. But,
But
yeah.
but Loki's like, "Look to your elder," and then Captain America comes in and he's like, "Hey, the last time someone was telling people to bow in Germany, bad things happened." And I was like, "Oh, gasp."
me and him didn't
He
get
was
along.
there. He knows.
Yeah, it's like
He knows.
he's talking about Hitler.
Gasp. And then Tony Stark shows up and he's like, "Put it down, Reindeer Games."
Yeah, which I just
And that's like the first. I don't know if it is, but that's the first actual like random nickname that has stuck with me that he gave someone.
Yeah, I think they start in this one because before he doesn't really get teamed
Yeah.
up with any other superheroes. What happens? He's like, everyone needs some kind of movie or pop culture nickname, and it continues.
He's Reindeer Games. He's Point Break for more than one movie.
That's what I was referring to. I was like, in Thor Ragnarok, he's still Point Break.
Yeah, I had totally forgotten about Point Break until that, and I was like, "What the fuck's that from?" So I went and watched Avengers again, and boom,
Yep.
he calls him it twice. Damn you, Stark.
God, Thor Ragnarok's good too, but we're not talking about that.
No, I also like the argument that they have. You know, the billionaire or was it genius billionaire playboy philanthropist argument that they have on the helicarrier, where Cap's telling Iron Man, put the suit on, and then the engine blows and he's like, put the suit on. He's like, yep,
going.
I'm on it.
Yeah, I really like that about this.
So apparently,
too.
apparently my favorite scenes are kind of the jokey ones.
That makes sense.
Or the ones with like the ones with where the vocab is more important than the actual action.
That's fair. I really like that scene too because it kind of shows that they're always willing to like put their own shit aside to save the day in a sense. They're like, even though they were just arguing about something that they had fundamental differences about, which was the use of this technology that Nick Fury was thinking about doing, and it's like, oh, but the shit's going down, and they're like, oh, we got to get to work. And I'm like, I really like that they have that like little scene just to show that they're always, ready to go to get to work.
Yeah. So the next scene, and I think this is the last one on my list that I can come up with off the top of my head that you haven't mentioned. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm going to mention the Hulk one first that everyone knows about, where he picks up Loki and just beats him around.
Puny God.
That gets his job. Puny God. And then Loki's like, damn it.
And again, that comes back in Thor Ragnarok as well, with Loki being scared as fuck of the
Yes! Yes! Now that's what it's like.
Now you know what it's like.
But the thing I was going to mention was the scene at the beginning when Black Widow, not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, when she's interrogating, in quotations, the I believe them to be Russian.
Yeah, it seems that way.
They sounded Russian to me, not to offend anyone. I can't
Eastern
differentiate
European.
from Eastern European accents.
It's pretty much the
I
same.
assume they were Russian.
It's part of Russia at one point
when
in history.
When she's interrogating them, in quotations, and then they're like, these idiots are giving me everything.
What?
What? What? We didn't give anything. What?
What's she talking about?
But she knows everything because she's the best spy ever.
Sometimes I feel like they really turn up her ability to just take random little bits that people give her and make it into something.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like
even the Loki thing.
the Loki thing is
Like
exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, that seemed like a stretch, woman. Like
you can see it on his face, and she's like, thank you, and he's like,
what are you even talking about, woman?
What just happened? I'm the trickster god, not you, bitch. Damn.
Yeah, that was a thing.
But Scott, I believe I told you about this. One of my favorite little Easter eggs that I didn't notice until last week, where, geez, I'm yawning crazy. My apologies. Anyways, I did text you about it last week, and it was when Cap's going like snooping around the helicarrier looking for some, for information, trying to find weapons and stuff, and he opens up the case and you just kind of see it over his shoulder, and it's Crossbones' his mask. And then those gloves he uses in the gauntlets in Civil War, and I was like, oh, gasp! And I didn't notice that until last week.
Yeah, and I watched that I think like a couple day after you, and I forgot to pay attention during that scene. But I've been meaning to go check that out. But I believe you, I do. I really do.
I appreciate you believing me. This isn't something I would go out of my way to make up.
But yeah, I like that they hide a lot of those kind of Easter eggs that you really have to go like really be paying attention for, and it takes those rewatches to notice them.
Oh yeah. Well, there's some of them where they call it an Easter egg, and it isn't really an Easter. Like a lot of them, they don't seem like Easter eggs to me. No. Like it's just someone stretching and being like, "Oh yeah, this is on page 56 of 1962's Marvel Deluxe comic book, where there's a guy just picking his nose in the background."
Yeah,
does it really
and they
count?
call it
Does it really count as an Easter egg if it's in the source material?
Wait, what do you mean?
Does it really count as an Easter egg if it's in the source material?
If it's hidden, I think so.
I would disagree.
Why wouldn't that, like, if it's not like in your face, why wouldn't that be an Easter egg? Like if it's hidden?
Because it's technically supposed to be there.
Part of the story is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's supposed to be there. It's already been. It has a precedent. What makes it an Easter egg?
I think it's
the fact that it's hidden.
If you're hiding foreshadowing,
I see what you mean. Yeah, so like the item has to have more of a significance than just if it's the exact same thing from the comic.
You can't tell me that it's an Easter egg if it was in a comic book, but if it has more significance than that, then I could see it being an Easter egg. But you can't just be like, yeah, it was in the comics. Well, yeah. So
that's what I'm talking about. People with the stretch. Okay. I thought I didn't understand what you meant.
I was bringing up a more deep conversation on the term of Easter eggs because it came up and I thought about it.
Yeah, it is a very broad.
I didn't understand the question. Yes, I agree with you, Craig.
Is it an Easter egg?
It's like if
it's in the source material.
I feel like some people use it broadly. Like say like Iron Man himself is not an Easter egg, but a certain Iron Man armor would be an Easter egg because it's like, oh, that refers to a kind of
hidden in the background,
or something like that. But I agree, like certain ones don't classify, like Captain America's shield. That isn't an Easter egg because that's just part of his character, right? But when
Oh, like an
it's-
Iron Man 2.
But
where they
that's what I was
show-
gonna say. But
show
when it's
the
in Iron Man
prototype.
Then that
2, that's when
qualifies.
it's exactly. That's what I was trying to
Yes,
say.
if it's part of the
Okay.
source material for what you're watching, it doesn't really qualify, does it? You
Yeah.
can't have Iron Man related things in an Iron Man movie and then call them Easter eggs.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part I would agree with. Sometimes I feel it's a little too people use it a little too broadly on certain things. That it's like that's just a story element. Like you need
Yeah.
he had to have his shield, or like he had to have. But like then there's other ones that are like kind of gray area. 'Cause then you have like certain things that are like half from the comics, but like they've kind of modified for the movies, which is
Yeah.
a little bit where you can fall in the gray area. I was going to use an example from Infinity War, then I caught myself and I'm like, no. That's next week.
Episode 31.
31.
Yeah, like I remember seeing I think it was a meme on Facebook when right after Batman vs Superman came out. Love that movie, by the way.
Yes.
Check out our Scott's rant about why people hate it and they should hate themselves. Go sit in a
Yes.
corner and think about what you
now
did.
that I've seen it, I agree. Anyway.
But anyways, them doing that, and there's the scene where Bruce is just sitting there looking on the back computer, and then like the caption is like, "Oh, I love how they pulled this directly from season 2 of the Batman cartoon," and it's just Bruce Wayne sitting there on a laptop. And I was like, you know what? That shit happens a lot.
that's-
Where people just pull, like, they invent references,
Yeah.
or it drives me nuts where people start like coming up with like these fan theories afterwards, and then eventually the studio's like, oh yeah, that's what we meant. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like, if you meant it, you would have had it in the story. You wouldn't have just come up with that stuff after the fact when someone said that seems cool.
Yeah.
Get your head out of your ass.
The
Come on.
retroactive
Yeah.
re-editing of certain things, or being like, oh no, it was always this. And it's like, no,
That's what we wanted to do. Yeah,
it
definitely.
was always the fake Mandarin. It's like, yeah, really?
You're like,
Why was it not a post-credit scene then? Not a movie
Yeah.
you made 4 months
Yeah.
after the release of the film in theaters.
Yeah. When everyone was pissed off about the
Super
fact
pissed
that he
off.
wasn't the real Mandarin.
Exactly.
A totally poor use of Ben Kingsley's acting prowess, because that guy is an amazing actor.
Yeah. I feel like that was like the equivalent of his role in... Was he in Thunderbirds? I feel like he was the villain in Thunderbirds.
Yes, where he's the uncle.
Oh, he's the
Yep.
uncle. Okay, yeah. So
Yep.
it's just like...
He's the evil uncle. Yeah.
So I feel like he's like, it's that same equivalent. Like, he was just like, I'm showing up for a
he's,
paycheck this week. I don't care what the role is.
I want to say it's Vanessa Hudgens. I want to say she was the girl in it. But whoever the
I haven't watched
girl's
Thunderbirds in like a
girl's
decade.
uncle is, it's Ben Kingsley.
Okay.
Yeah, where he's got like the powers, and she like holds the crystal to use the same powers.
Shit, there's so much more to that movie than I remember.
And then I can't remember his name. I can picture him. He was in Aliens. He was also in the first season of
Talking about the driver?
No. I'm talking about the dad. He was
I don't
in
remember
the
that
first
guy at all.
season of Agents of Shield. It's gonna drive me crazy. He plays.
Is he Sky's dad?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
This is gonna drive me nuts. No, he's the guy who works for, or like he's the main Hydra bad guy in season 1 of Agents of Shield. What's his face is like like
Paxton.
loyal as hell to
Is
him.
it Paxton?
Bill Paxton. That's who I was thinking
Okay.
of. He's the dad.
Okay, the late great.
And the late great R.I.P. But yeah, he was it, and I was like, oh shit.
That's true.
Didn't
I forgot
realize
about
that.
I haven't watched
Yeah.
that movie in so long.
There's a fair amount of big names in
Yeah,
that
it's
movie
kind of
somehow.
Like that.
I'm surprised Thad Castle isn't in that movie. Alan Richson.
Yeah, he would have fit pretty perfectly into that.
Yeah. That was a callback to last week's
Yes,
episode
it
where we
was.
couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, we had to look it up.
That could be
Yep, I
every
know, we've-
episode. That's like calling that an Easter egg.
Yep, that's fair. That's like me trying to
That's
remember
very
Bill Paxton's
true.
name, being like, who the hell is he? This is his career. Here's his resume. What is his name?
That's our spin-off podcast.
Yep.
We just pick
Who
a random,
are we talking about?
pick a random IMDb page, read all of the stats about it, and then we have to figure out who it is by the end of it.
Who each of us is talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Like a game show.
But you're not allowed to give character names.
No, you can't get
Just like
character-
you
could
can
just give,
describe
like,
what they
oh,
played.
He was the he was the dad on Home Improvement, and yeah, except you wouldn't pick one like that because
Hopefully not.
No,
that
because then
obvious.
you'd be like, he's Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
Actually, his name's Tim Allen.
That
was my nerd impression.
It'd be a really interesting game of Guess Who minus the boards.
I love
Yeah.
that game.
That would be a fun episode. We should do that in the
Yes, we
future.
have to write that down.
Yes, we
Yeah,
should.
episode 35.
Yes, but let's bring it back to this week's episode, and move on
Yeah.
to the second movie, since we pretty much talked out the first one so much that we were talking
Yeah,
about
pretty much.
other movies.
Yep. Tim Allen, Age of Ultron.
Yeah. So
I've
just missed
I've
that.
seen only parts of Age of Ultron. I didn't get to that with my initial thing, but Avengers ruined it for me so much that I didn't see Civil War or Age of Ultron. I basically swore off Marvel movies that weren't Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor.
We went opening night to Guardians of the Galaxy. That's dedicated.
I
I think we went opening night to Thor: The Dark World.
See, I like those movies. Those are my favorites, easily. Easily my
Damn, you like
favorites.
Thor: The Dark World?
I liked the Thor movies
Craig can't
better.
remember these
Oh,
movies.
man. Thor: The Dark World's first half was good.
I remember the Dark World, sort of. I don't remember the first Thor movie, but I remember liking them, so that's enough for me.
The
Okay.
first Thor film, I always forget like some stuff of it. Then I rewatch it and I'm like, oh, it's because there's not a lot to it. It's like one of the shortest Marvel movies. Four
I
things
forgot
The
he
coolest
even had
parts-
long hair until I was watching the
He
little
had
bit
the-
of Age of Ultron
Yeah.
that I saw.
Yeah.
on,
I'm glad you mentioned that because I gotta say I did not like Thor until he got a haircut.
Yeah, short hair
And then I was
Thor
like,
is
you know what? I
easily the
respect
best.
you more. Short hair Thor he's funnier, he's cooler, he's more chill. He's like a bro.
Yeah, he's definitely finally been allowed to let his Australia out into the Thor role.
He's a real man now. But and the fact that maybe Stan Lee gave him the haircut is kind of cool. That's my favorite Stan Lee cameo ever because it hits close to home.
Barbara's
Does that not feel
represent.
overdone
You know,
to anyone else? I understand his significance to the Marvel universe, but like I'm kind of Stanley'd out at this point.
I like to think
Eventually, one day we're
They
not going to
seem-
see them because he's going to be
they seem way
dead.
too
But
gratuitous to me now. It's like
some
it's
of them
like it's
can be.
It's like it's part of the. It's like the whole concept. I thought was that he just kind of shows up in like a tiny little role, but they've made it to the point where it takes you out of the movie for a Stan Lee bit, and
I'll
then you
agree
go
with
back
that.
into the movie again.
a little bit.
As we've
like
gone on to these later
it's-
ones, yeah, especially like Guardians of the
Yes.
Galaxy
like
2.
it started.
The
It
ones
started
that-
off as it was a cool thing, and then it became kind of a gimmick.
Yeah,
I'll agree with that
It's-
as well.
yeah. It has become less of an Easter egg
Yeah,
to continue.
It
on
almost
with further
feels like they
conversation.
wrote that scene in, and then they built the movie around it throughout that part. Like, I don't like the Spider-Man Homecoming one where they end up in this small little Guido neighborhood, and then they're all just shouting at each other, like in Family Guy, where they have all the Italians, "Hey, Louie!" when they're just yelling at each other in the
alleyway. Yeah,
in there, and then he comes out, he's like, "Hey, Marjorie, how's your mother?" I'm like, come on, man, I want something cool.
yeah.
I didn't want you just to ask your neighbor how she's doing.
It's almost like, especially more recently, like you guys said, it's almost like they build a particular scene around having Stan Lee in it,
Yeah.
rather than building a scene
Well-
and being like, it'd be cool as if we made Stan Lee that guy.
I think there's a reason for that, which is I heard that they had filmed some of his cameos ahead of time because how
They
old
weren't
he
sure.
is.
Yeah.
So that you're quite right that
Well,
it's possible.
he had some potential pending legal issues as well
That's possible.
that
too.
had come out before. So
That's
I don't want
possible
it to
and
sound like I
too.
don't like the guy, because I do.
No. I know we
But-
don't.
It's far too gratuitous. For me
Yeah,
at this
sometimes I
point.
agree. Like I didn't particularly like which one were we just talking about? Oh,
Homecoming?
no, I was thinking like I liked and didn't.
don't you
like,
dare shit on the Thor Ragnarok. Don't you dare shit on that
one's
Barbara.
I was gonna say that one's
all shit on
that
you.
one's good because it's short. Like I think when it's less than
Yeah.
a couple seconds, it's good. I was gonna say Guardians
Yeah.
of the Galaxy 2 with the Watchers. Like I liked it, but I felt it dragged a little
Okay.
bit, just a little bit. Like it could have been more of a flash,
Yeah.
as opposed to them stopping, letting him
Yeah.
have a couple lines, and then going back to it again when they already had 4 other post-credit scenes. I feel like that could have been cut as a
Yeah.
post-credit scene because it was like,
Definitely. They could have saved that for the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they could have used that.
That one should have been saved
down the
for
road.
after he passed away.
Give it to me in like Infinity War 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Give it to me there as kind of like an end of the end of this phase where they're closing it out, and he's just like talking to them and reporting back on everything that he's seen for the next big bad.
I do think we'll get to the point where we get to like the Will Smith in Independence Day cameo, which is he's just gonna have a picture of him. Like we'll see like a flash of a picture of him, which has been his cameo in 1 or 2 Marvel movies. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. I think one of the X-Men.
I feel like the X-Men.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think one of the X-Men.
That's my kind of cameo. Make it subtle.
Yeah, so I think
it's not special if it's obvious.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna get to that event like pretty much unfortunately after he passes away. I think we'll be getting to that, but I think they're kind of just because he's still around, they're just kind of making hay while the what's the expression?
Making hay while the sun shines.
Yeah, is that it? Yeah.
No,
something like that. That sounds right.
Is that? I didn't know what it was. I'm not a farmer.
It sounded right to me.
You know what I mean, though. Like they're just.
What's the saying, Craig?
I don't know, but that's definitely a country lyric.
Yeah, fair enough. They're just.
Man, it sounds so right to me.
I know, but that's because it's a song lyric.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or at least that's my argument.
I'm Googling it.
I just meant that.
It is. It's make hay while the sun shines.
Is it?
Yeah. Definition: see hay.
No, I wanted to know what the expression's definition is. Come on, guys. But yeah, that's just what I mean.
It's the proverb. If you have an opportunity to do something, do it before the opportunity expires.
In this case, meaning before Stan Lee's life expires.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. Ooh.
Well, I hope
true,
it
though.
doesn't for plenty of years. Like Craig has plenty to complain about because I love them. But
see, I would prefer to be complaining than talking about how he died.
yeah, so I agree with that.
Even the Civil War one. Now that I think about it, like it was funny, but it was like it seemed kind of like they forced it, like they they threaded the needle.
Yeah,
Especially being at the end of the movie,
exactly.
because you're like, oh, you know what, they gotta put it in here somewhere, and like.
Yeah, and I feel like a few of them are just pretty much just that. They're just like, well, we got to fit in. They pretty much have to force it sometimes. Because if you think about some of the movies, right, like it's kind of hard for them to just fit it in randomly. Like I think of like Guardians of the Galaxy 1, where they literally, pan to him while they're like looking, while he's like, they're like, oh, look at this guy. And it's like,
Just creeping on the girl.
And it's just like, well, that's not so good for your image anymore, Stanley.
Yeah.
And secondly, like that just seems like that one could have been like, we didn't. That one's a little forced to me because it's like, well, you could have cut that really. Like it didn't add anything to the thing at all except for Rocket making a joke about that. And it's just like, okay,
yeah.
Well,
you get a little bit more sassy Rocket dialogue.
So I like when he's doing something. That's my favorite ones. Like when he's the barber. It's like, okay, cool. He's involved in this event, right?
I can't remember the Avengers one. I can't remember his cameo in Avengers, but I think it would have been funny if, like, when Tony comes in and says, that man's playing Gallagher, thought we wouldn't have noticed, but we did, and then they could have panned it. It could have been, like, Stanley, like, playing Gallagher, like, and that's it. Just give me that.
Excelsior.
Like 1 second, like,
exactly. Like that would have been. That's exactly the kind of one I would have liked. Like him just kind of having inserted himself into these little
scenarios,
exactly, right?
yeah.
Like little tiny things, and it's like, oh yeah, he's the guy who's playing that. There's this one time he's like, he's the delivery guy at the end of Civil War, right?
Civil War, yeah. That's what I was just talking about. I didn't like that one because, like, it was funny, but it felt like it, it was trying to push it, thread the needle, like,
okay, like, but I also do like that he was a delivery guy because I like when he's doing a role.
You don't want him just to be a guy.
Yeah, I don't like he's just a bystander, like in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, right? He's just like a bystander. I'm like, no, I like you to be a little bit more involved, like, so like.
Well, the Excelsior line, kind of funny in Age of Ultron, bring us back to the topic we're supposed to be talking about.
You. I was trying to figure out a way to do that.
It was a funny line, but then. Now that I think of it, why the hell were all those veterans at a Tony Stark party?
Yeah, that's...
Like,
good question.
That escapes me.
Good question.
I'm sure there's some logical reason that someone out there, some hacktivist, is gonna try to shred us apart for it, possibly, or at least verbally bitch about us.
Start a new ad
But
campaign on our Facebook page.
Why? Yeah.
Can they?
Why were there veterans at a Tony Stark party? I'm not saying veterans can't be there. I'm just saying
My
why.
only guess would be that I remember Falcon's at that party, right? So
Yeah.
Falcon works at the VA.
Maybe he invited the VA
yeah, 'cause
people.
he's like, oh, come meet the Avengers. You guys are veterans. Come, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like that's the only way I could justify it for you. That's
Romanoff's gonna be there in a white blouse, so you should come. Hill's gonna be there. She's pretty good looking too.
These are all reasons why anyone should be invited to a party.
That's true. Very true. But I didn't realize, and this is another thing I texted Scott about, Craig. I didn't realize, and you haven't seen Ultron, right?
I've seen as much Ultron as I watched at your shop on Friday.
Boom. Okay.
And that's it.
How far did we make it?
I can't remember how much of it I actually saw.
Damn it. Okay. Well, there's a part where you first get introduced to James Spader as Ultron, where he comes out and he's like, "No strings on me," falling apart version of the Iron Legion. I didn't realize until last week watching Age of Ultron that at the beginning when he sends in the Iron Legion, it's James Spader's voice talking as the Iron Legion. Because I had always wondered how did he pick this voice? He could be anyone or anything. How did he end up on a James Spader voice instead of James Earl Jones or something? But then last week when I picked
to voice anything else. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
He has to be James Earl Jones acting as something or Darth Vader.
Yeah.
There is no in between.
That's it.
So you don't approve of his upcoming Mufasa role or reprising
again.
it? Yeah.
That's probably the exception to the rule.
There's no exception to the rule.
No, he said there is.
Listen, Craigie. Anyways,
Back to
so
Age of Ultron.
he was the Iron Legion, which makes sense now in retrospect, figuring out why he picked that voice, just because it was his given voice.
This is voice box. Yeah, I always just assumed that was Jarvis's voice. I just never paid attention to it before. And then when you mentioned it, I thought back. I'm like, that's definitely not Paul
Jarvis.
Yeah, it's definitely not Paul Bettany.
Paul
yeah,
Bettany.
I'm just like, okay. And then, I haven't watched that one yet since you had mentioned it. So I'm curious. Again, I can remember in my memory now. I'm like, no, that makes more sense. I'm just like, it's weird how I can kind of recall that. I'm like, no, it definitely sounds more like I can match it up with James Spader. Right? Yeah, his voice more so than the other way, and it just makes sense.
I just gotta say, James Spader getting cast as Ultron. When I first heard it, I was like, But then after seeing it, I'm like, yes, there's no one else I want to be.
I really enjoyed it
Ultron.
too.
Especially the direction they took it, where he's kind of extremely condescending, but in that Tony Stark, kind of funny way.
I really love that too.
I was like, there's no one I'd rather have. Plus, I just picture him in. I talked to Craig about this. I just pictured him in the recording booth, just doing that tongue flick he does while he talks.
That must have been fun to cut out because I don't think Ultron does that.
No, it'd be funny if he did though. He's got the robot tongue.
That would be pretty funny.
Well, especially since they're tracking him to do the general motions.
Yeah.
For Ultron, so then they'd have to kind of remove all those he's got, or keep them in. I guess
People make smaller people. Children.
I forgot the word.
Like that. I like that.
He's got some good lines.
Like nothing has to get broken. Clearly, you've never made an omelet.
He beat me by 1
He
second.
beat me by 1 second. I like that he kind of accepts that he is a creation of Stark and has that teenage resentment of I hate my parents.
He's very self-aware, which makes sense because he's an AI.
He's AI.
He's very self-aware. AI.
He knows where he came from, he knows why he got there, and he just hates all of it. He's like, ugh,
I'm
God.
sick of this shit. Again, another villain I connect really well with.
Yeah, I'm too old for this, Riggs.
Yeah, I really I liked him as a villain in general. I know a lot of people don't love Age of Ultron because it pretty much is. It's a little bit of a copy of Avengers in the sense, like, especially the end scene, like just the one,
Yeah.
like the big bad at the end and stuff like that. But I like that we get, like, a little intro to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in this
There you
one.
go. You got it right that time. Yep.
And so that was a cool intro to them. I like that they first start off as kind of bad, but once they learn a little bit more, like they kind of at first are with the villain and they're like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like screw the Avengers.
Fuck
yeah,
Stark.
exactly. But then
Yeah.
they kind of learn, oh no, this guy's crazy.
Oh, this is Shield. This is what Shield's supposed to
Yeah.
be. This is not so bad.
Yeah. That was a good line. I was a little disappointed when they killed him off, to be honest, because that was a little, it seemed unnecessary.
Spoilers for Craig.
Psh. he hasn't been doing the movie since.
That's true. This movie, Scarlet Witch has the accent all throughout. And every time she's made an appearance since then, the
No
accent
accent.
has either disappeared or just dwindled. And I don't know if that's just she can't maintain the
I think she
accent.
dialed it back
If
to the time.
if Marvel was like, we'll pretend you're assimilated, because I know a lot of people who come from, or they were originally born overseas. Most of them are older gentlemen, and they've got really thick German accents or thick Scottish accents, thick English accents, and they've been here for 50, 60 years,
Where'd her accent go?
and they still have the accent. Where did hers go?
Yeah, I think you're right that she dialed it back because it was harder for her to do, especially with more
Yeah.
dialogue. Because her first
More dialogue,
so like her first appearance, not as much.
Stark.
Yeah, exactly. Just a
Yeah.
few little lines here and there, but then this second appearance, she has far more lines. So I think that's
Yeah.
my defense for Scarlet Witch is that, like, as she's gone on,
Like
she's
each
had
time,
to,
like
pretty much had more complicated dialogue.
she just ditches
yeah.
it. But like it's American. Oh, there's Eastern European.
well,
oh, shit, she's back
I
to
get it
American.
because when I try to do an Eastern European, it wanes. Sometimes it sways over to English, back to Canadian.
You're not an actor
That's
though.
true.
You don't get paid lots of money
true.
to use
But
different
she's
accents.
also an Olsen, so I feel
we
like
just
that's a
do it for
defense.
fun. That's fair.
She's
That's fair.
she's the best of the Olsens in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's
back
fair.
to Age of Ultron stuff.
Back to Age of Ultron. Well, we never really left
Yeah,
Age
that's
of
true.
Ultron too much.
This
We were
is my
talking
way of
about
always
the
getting back on
person
a
from
proper
it. Yeah.
track.
But back on your point, people not liking Age of Ultron because it was too much like the first. They got to realize that Marvel had a formula.
Yeah, exactly.
And they follow that formula. Like most of these movies are almost copies of the other
yeah.
one. It's just they change a few subtle things. Or they change a couple characters. Maybe they change some skin tone for people, but that's it. Like they're pretty much the same movies over and over
I
again.
agree with that. Yeah.
And we're just suckers for it. That's why we go see
That's
them.
why I dig them so much.
Yeah. That's why I'm game for that
Yes,
shit.
uh,
That's why they make lots of money off
Yeah, I
me.
agree with that. Like, people who complain that it's like, oh, it's too much like the other one. It's like, well, if you want to get into that thing, I could just argue that every movie ever is like, some other movie. Like, so I hate that kind
Have you
of
ever
thing.
seen the Mighty Ducks movies?
It's a thing
Exactly.
called genre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, it kind of falls into that. Like, you gotta have to have your certain, like, things. Like, why you go to a superhero movie if you don't want to watch superheroes fight a bunch of things? Like,
Like, you ever seen any Terminator movie after T2 or after the first Terminator? They're all the same damn movie.
it's so true.
Or every romantic comedy ever, or
Ever.
every drama ever, or every
Exactly.
sci-fi ever, or every
Yep.
horror film ever,
Yeah.
Except
or
for
every
Firefly.
period drama ever.
Nathan Fillion deserves more credit.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll second that.
Yeah. He's a Canadian icon.
He's a Mountie.
Like the bare naked
in real
ladies.
life.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, that derailed it all. Anyways.
I was trying to remember the line from Community about the bare naked ladies, but I cannot remember.
I was trying to think of a good segue back to Age of Ultron. Then I was like, were we still talking Age of Ultron? I forgot.
I think we're talking
Yeah.
Age of Ultron.
Okay. So should I tell you guys some of my favorite scenes that I wrote down just because I
Yes.
got something? So I want to
Yes.
say something. So what I wrote down was the opening scene where we get to see them all attacking the Hydra base. It's a little bit...
Yeah, and they do the slow-mo
Yep,
jump.
It's corny. I love corny and cheesy. Give me that every day,
Yep.
all the time. That's what I go to these movies for, is for those stupid little shots like that. That's not realistic at all. Why is Hawkeye jumping, leading with his bow? That doesn't, like, logistically make sense when you jump, but I don't care. I love these movies. Like,
even if you wouldn't take the shot jumping. That's just, why did he jump at all? It would have made more sense for him to dip prone position, or even like stand, like just dip to a knee and take the shot.
They needed him to fit in the shot, so they got him jumping. And I'm like, cool. I'm cool with it. It looks stupid, but I love it. So yeah, I like that scene. And then you get like the little interaction between the few characters to see that, you know, they've started to have a little bit of rapport. You kind of get an idea that they've, in between the movies, they've worked together a little bit, not like a lot, but like leading up to Infinity War, Age of Ultron especially, you can see that like I think Thor mentions at one point, this is like the last base that they have to take, the last Hydra base that they check for it. So you get a little idea that they've been doing it a little time. So I like that little bit of background, which leads it.
Language.
Yes. And I like that they keep making fun of that throughout the film. That's one thing I do like about some of their jokes, that they'll like kind of go back and keep making fun of something just because it's like,
that's not going away anytime soon.
And it's true, that's to me, it makes it feel more like their bond's a little bit more realistic in a sense, like between these characters.
And then Tony tells everyone, because everyone throughout the whole movie finds out about
keeps
it.
Ripping on him for it,
But I like when Cap's riding the motorcycle and he just flips it over and just whips it at the Hydra guy. So over the top, so unnecessary. You have places to be, man. You got to get to the castle. That's even more destructive. Throw your shield.
Than James Bond is with his vehicles. Like at least James Bond eventually tries and then blows it up. You just straight up threw your fucker at him.
You whipped it. Like you have a shield that you have perfected the art of throwing it and bouncing it off of things to come back to you. Plus, you also have the magnetic gauntlet that pulls it back towards you. Throw your shield at them; it's going to come back. Then you can ride your motorcycle all the way up
and back, because after you guys are done,
you gotta get back to the Quinjet.
Leave. That's a long walk. Iron Man's not going to piggyback you.
Which kind of makes me wonder, what do they do with Baron Strucker? Like, what do they do with him? Like, oh, I got Strucker. They don't put him in the ship. He gets to jail.
These are the little things they clip out, and they're like, people won't think about this. People will question this.
I'm thinking about it.
We have a podcast, so we need something to talk about, and we are.
He says, I've got Strucker. Oh, there's a second enhanced in the field. And then he goes to jail and gets murdered by Ultron. But
there was no in between.
How did he get there?
No, couldn't tell you. I don't know where all the.
Did he turn him over to the officials? Like,
I'm guessing.
Did the Iron Legion take him in?
They go do all the work, and then after they're like, "Yo, Shield, come clean up the mess. Come clean up the mess. Yo, Coulson, I know we're not supposed to know you're alive still, but come clean up the mess."
Come on, man. Project Tahiti. That's just what he texts. Tahiti.
It's got nothing to do with cleaning up the Avengers mess, but okay.
Nope. Well, Project Tahiti's would probably Coulson back to life.
Yeah, I know that.
That's just his secret name, like via text. Like Gossip Girl. It's Tahiti.
I don't know what Gossip Girl means.
Gossip Girl.
I don't know what that meant.
Get this to Gossip Girl's phone.
That's not.
Exactly. XOXO Gossip Girl.
So do your health. I don't know. Why are we talking Gossip Girl? I can't.
I'm just saying.
I was making.
Anyways, what else is on your list?
Which fits in with our.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm Gossip Girl.
Exactly. Okay. Yes.
Anyways, Scott, continue.
The other things I just had written down was I like the highway chase scene where they're chasing after Ultron's the body Ultron made, which eventually becomes Vision. I like Vision's introduction. I like that Paul Bettany finally had to leave his home to come work at one of these movies, and that he was a little bitter about it. And I remember reading that, like, because he's obviously just joking around a little bit, because he knew from the beginning. Like, I'm sure he knew he didn't have to agree to become Vision. You know what I mean? Like, he could have been like, "Fuck you guys."
You're not going to sign a contract that says I'm going to be a voice, and then when they tell you, "Listen, bro, you're either going to be a body or you're done," and then be like,
And I feel like he's the type, if he wanted to be done, he'd be like, "Okay, see you guys." Goes and retires.
I'm Paul Bettany,
man. He's Paul fucking Bettany, and so like,
I'm done. I'm gonna go make Legion 2.
Don't get my hopes up, man.
I would watch that movie.
that. So I'd be there opening day.
I said it as a joke,
It would
but
be me and
I would
you,
watch that movie.
The only ones in that theater opening day because nobody watched that movie, but I love it.
Craig watched number 1 with me in
did.
my kitchen.
I
Yeah,
did.
that, or they could make Priest 2 because those two are pretty much identical movies and they both have Paul
Yes,
Bettany.
make them both.
Yeah.
Do a crossover where he meets himself, and
I
it's
would
like
love
parallel
that. That
paradigm
would blow
shift.
My mind, having 2 Paul Bettany's in
Boom.
a movie.
Yep, boom. But yeah, Paul Bettany is the
Yeah,
man.
I love him.
But I just realized Korea goes through a lot of shit. Like there's a lot of destruction in Korea between that and then when they go back in Black Panther. But Korea never gets mentioned in any of the destruction zones for the Sokovia Accords. They're like,
That's
it's just
true.
South Korea,
That's true.
whatever.
Well,
They
it's 'cause they're already
significantly
war-torn,
leave that out.
technically.
That's fair.
They
I
were
guess
It's
that's
like,
one argument.
whatever.
They were war torn once.
I feel like they just
What-
forgot. I
What
feel
are
like
they gonna notice?
Yeah, probably. They're like, oh crap, we sent them to Asia. Damn it, whatever.
that was this
We'll
movie.
pretend Sokovia is so eastern. It's like it's the part of Russia that's also in Asia. Sokovia is somewhere in there. It counts.
They're right next to each other. It's
Yeah.
universe. It's a different Earth.
Yep. We don't need to know.
Yeah. And the last thing I just had written down though was I just like the final scene. Like again, I like seeing a team of superheroes fight an army of faceless things that they can just use all their different powers and unique little things that they came up with throughout, 50, 60 years of comic book history now. I like that's where they get to insert those little things like, oh yeah, Spider-Man using some rocket that he had in some random comic book. Like that's where you throw it in, and that's what I like about those end battle scenes.
You don't just have it sitting in the background somewhere, hoping that someone's gonna see it and be like, "Oh yeah, this is what it is for sure."
Exactly. You put it right out there, so I don't have to pay attention at all. I just gotta be watching.
I liked the development of the Hawkeye character in this because he did have a little bit of growth at the end of the first Avengers movie because you'd only really seen him in a bit role in Thor up to that
Where
point.
he was only like he wasn't even really like cockeye because he first goes for a gun and it's like
Did you just call him cockeye?
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, you said cockeye, man. You 100% get cockeye.
These are things that Scott says.
Yeah. These are things people say to me.
These are things Scott says on our podcast.
Yeah.
okay. I
Anyways, Hawkeye.
I don't think I said cockeye, but okay.
That's what I heard. You know what's even better about this whole thing is we have it recorded.
Yeah, I know.
On
That's why I'm like,
yeah.
that's why I said.
And we're gonna find it out later.
That's why I said I think. I'm like I wasn't going to go like I'm sure I didn't say it because
I'm writing down the time now.
But
You'll
yeah,
listen to it and you'll
There
be
we
like,
go.
shit, I did say cockeye.
it's possible.
Damn it.
Well, then when you guys said that, I'm just like, did I? I don't think I did. Did I mean? I might have been going to say like Clint, and then said Hawkeye because his name's Clint Barton. But
Yeah.
who knows? Anyways,
Just throwing
I
it out
forget
there.
what my whole
It's not
point was
anyways.
about him. Anyways, I like that they gave him a family. And,
Yeah.
and-
A surprise. I like that his wife is Linda Cardellini.
yeah, that's cool too.
I crushed hard on her as a kid because she was Velma in the Scooby-Doo movie, and I loved that. And then as a young adult, I crushed hard on her because she's in a couple seasons of Mad Men.
True, I forgot about that.
And then now as a middle-aged adult, I still crush hard on her because she's Linda
Middle-aged
freaking
When
Cardellini.
did we become middle-aged adults at 25?
Actual
Hang on a
middle-aged
second.
people
Wait
would
till
be
you're
so
not
insulted
25
by
yet,
us.
man.
Hang on a second.
You're not 25 yet, Craig. Get there.
We are not adults.
Stewie just said that.
Oh gosh.
Anyways.
we joke about it, but this is the moment we lost most of our
Yeah.
listeners.
The
Yeah,
last
for
four
sure.
of them. That's where they
Yeah.
left. So this is where.
But anyways, lovely Linda Cardellini.
Yes.
I like that growth of their character. I like that she's like, he's like, oh, you're worried they don't need me. Oh no, I'm worried they do need you. And he's like, oh shit. Now we got a plan about retirement. Damn it.
Now I gotta get a new fucking farm.
Too old. Getting too old for this, Riggs. We don't even have a tractor that works. Good thing I know Tony. I don't have to pay for any repairs on it. I don't even know what shield agents get paid.
Well, see, that's the thing I'm curious about. Was the tractor actually broken, or did she just say that to get him to go talk to Nick Fury?
Fury. I don't know.
Because it doesn't seem
know.
practical to have a farm and not have a working tractor. Like, I'm not a farmer. I don't personally know. I can't speak to
It's not
that.
practical. To
But I
be-
feel like a lot of farmers, they know how to fix it. Jonathan Kent's tractor in Smallville was always broken.
Yeah, I don't know how they
Every
got
episode he's
anything
like,
ever
"Oh,
done.
I'm gonna go work on the tractor," and then Clark's like, "Okay," and he picked that shit up and they worked on it.
I never
just
saw that thing
mean-
get
So,
used
like-
either. Like, all I
No.
saw was Clark do everything. Like,
Everything.
Well, he had.
Anyways,
to use
back
it
to Ultron.
He had to use it to take down the cornfield so he could build the baseball diamond.
wait.
That's true.
No,
That's true.
No, wait, no, that didn't happen in small. No, Craig.
Yeah.
Nope.
Field of Small Dreams. Smallville Dreams.
Smallville dreams.
But back on track.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it could quite possibly be. But then Tony was actually working on it, so maybe like she went out and like snipped something.
Who
And
knows?
she's like, "Oh man, my husband's boss is here again. Yeah, god damn it."
I don't know. I just thought it was a funny point.
Yeah.
But anything else we should say about Age of Ultron?
Right at the end, or right before the end, when you see Vision talking to the last Ultron robot, and he's like, "You're scared." That interaction, like, even if they had literally just went like blah 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 back and forth for 5 minutes, I would have been so happy, because those are two of the best voices out
Yes,
there,
I agree.
just together having a
It was a
conversation.
good. I like that scene too. Like, I like that. You know, he's like, it ends
really-
off with him be like,
it
"I
really
was born
human-
yesterday," and then he kills him.
Like it really humanizes both of
Yeah.
them, because it shows the how, not the naivete, but like how Vision believes in the human
Yeah.
race, and how Ultron, you kind of get the idea that maybe he's having not a change of heart, but he's kind of like, you know what, you kind of have
Well,
a
I think
point.
he's
but
always known he wasn't
I'm
100% right. He just kind of does it
Yeah.
because that's his way of rebelling.
He's like, well, I'm Tony Stark's kid, so I can't admit I'm wrong, so I'm gonna try to kill you, even though you're about to blow me up with your face rock.
that's exactly how it works. I
Hashtag
think.
face rock.
And that is the Age of Ultron.
Boom.
Boom.
What'd you guys watch this week?
And Thor Thor has no regards for lawn care maintenance. What did you guys watch this week?
Has. That's a common reoccurrence of his. But yeah, what did you guys watch this week?
I watched Infinity
So
War.
did I.
Spoilers.
No way.
Let's not do any spoilers for it though, right?
No.
Yeah, we'll save that for next week,
All
guys.
of us watched the highest grossing movie on its opening weekend.
Ever.
Huh, that's interesting.
It'll
Who
be
would've
the highest
thought?
grossing
Yeah.
movie ever.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Shock.
It wasn't just our money that went into that pool
Definitely
then.
not. I definitely did not contribute $650 million this weekend whatsoever.
I did about half. It was a
Yeah.
business write-off, so I paid about
It's
half.
tax season.
Yeah.
It was the return.
Tax season was coming to an end. I had a couple days left. I was like, gotta get it in before the end of my fiscal year.
Except that, according to
It's
the
done.
CRA, your tax season ends December 2017.
Not necessarily. It depends on the fiscal year, because a lot of the government stuff
Yes.
actually ends in March.
March, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
why ours is the beginning or end of April for our taxes.
Yeah. It gives you a month,
Yeah.
really, if that's what your fiscal year is. Anyways, I watched Infinity War. I watched Avengers. I watched Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yes.
I watched Thor Ragnarok, because we haven't talked about that one yet. I watched Ragnarok, and that's where I came to the conclusion that I did not like Thor long hair. I had no respect for that guy. He was kind of a dick. And then he got a haircut, and I was like, you know what? I accept this guy. He's jacked. And I never want to see him wear sleeves again. Marvel, if you're listening, Disney, if you're listening, take away Thor's sleeves forever.
I don't know why he ever put sleeve on, really. Like,
That's
Ever.
it's dumb. Like,
He would have looked better with sleeves from like Thor 1 up until like just before Age of
yeah,
Ultron.
then Age of Ultron just
Like,
biceps.
give him sleeves, but then he's always like, "Bam, jiggle these pythons."
That's not
He's not Arnold, but
Australian at all.
that's not what he sounds like.
He got Austrian.
I can't do an
and
Australian
Austrian
accent.
mixed in.
You confuse them. You confuse them.
Good day, mate. Wallaby. check out these wallabies.
Oh, it's good we don't have any Australian listeners.
That we know
But,
of.
I'm not good. I am not good with
I am
accents.
so bad at them.
But anyways, I never want to see him wear sleeves again, and I want him to keep his hair short because I respect him more
Yeah,
with shorter hair.
I kind of like agree with that. I like him a little bit more with shorter hair.
And with the beard. Like, once he grew the beard out, he's not allowed to shave anymore. Which begs the question, how was he shaving before? I never saw him shave. Do gods just get to decide what their beard is?
Who knows? Who knows what powers
wish.
Mjolnir has?
I know it took 7 years for Loki to get long hair, but like, because in the first one his hair wasn't
Not
that
very,
long.
Not at all.
In the first Thor one, in the Avengers his hair just kind of looks like he's been growing it out for 6 months, and he just hasn't got a haircut. Yeah, and then it looks worse than your hair.
I know.
Like
Most do.
his layers
Not
are
everybody
off.
has
Like
a
he just
barber
grew his
like
hair out
you
and never got a
to give
haircut.
those amazing haircuts.
These guys need to check out Stan Lee. I mean, if he can give hair tattoos, like clearly he knows the finer points of
Or Ace
cosmetology.
Barbershop in Camelford, Ontario.
Oh, shamelessly plugging me.
Which
I
is in
appreciate
the
it.
Always.
east end of the province.
It's in the east end of the province. Yes. Love it.
He called it the eastern part.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I watched that.
That's a good one.
I watched a little bit of Psych.
Nice.
Watching that at the shop this week.
Okay.
Yep.
Enjoying it. I watched
You put
Grown
some
Ups
sunglasses
2.
on.
Yeah, Craig texted me about that quote from Psych this morning, and Psych was on at the shop, and I was like, man, this is too much. Our mind link is actually affecting
It's a little
everyday
scary
life now.
sometimes. Like we come back, he's just like, "Oh yeah, I watched that too," and I'm like, "What? Like what? How are you guys always watching the same shit all the time? Do you guys have the same Netflix? So what's happening? Am I missing something here?" I feel so.
You take your sunglasses off. You put some sunglasses on.
It is still the best
It's
episode.
It's weird to go back and watch Psych after I've watched Gallivant like 3 times.
Yep.
And look and watch Lassie because I'm like, oh, he's gonna sing,
He never
and he
sings.
doesn't sing. There's one episode in which he sings. There's one episode in which he dances, and that is it.
I
Doesn't
can
fit into the
remember
character.
both of those too.
Yep. And that is it. Plus, it's weird looking at him with short hair and no beard because he always had like an earring, long hair, and a beard.
Yes.
I still haven't watched Galvant.
So good.
I know.
So
I know.
good.
I know. One of these days.
So I also watched Grown Ups too because the other day I was doing some cleaning. I was like, I am in the mood for a stupid movie,
That's the ultimate.
and that is what that
movie.
is. It's so good, but it's so bad.
Shaq cameo.
And I totally yeah, I totally forgot that Chris Rock's daughter in the show. I was like, where do I recognize her from? And it's Black Lightning.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, she plays his youngest daughter.
Oh, wait, I gotta rewatch this Grown Ups 2 now because I'm blanking.
Yep.
Damn, okay. That's cool.
Yep.
I love shit like that.
Maya Rudolph and Chris Rock's daughter in the show or in the
yeah, you said
movie.
show for last time.
Yeah, in the movie plays Black Lightning's
Daughter.
yeah
Lightning.
Jefferson Pierce's youngest daughter.
Which I think her name's Lightning. Which I'm just like, that is really?
That's so
That's
lame.
terrible.
That's
Like
so
I get
lame.
that you guys want Thunder and Lightning for the pair, but then it's Black Lightning. So you got Black
Lightning.
Lightning, and Thunder.
Black Lightning and Thunder was kind of cool. That was badass. You can't give me another Lightning, especially when like she like creates the
Yeah.
stuff. Like give me something even better.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was gonna be like Charge or Supercharge
Yeah.
or
Duracell.
that'd be good if they want to make some money.
Yeah, give her a jacket with like the bunny or the Energizer bunny on the back, and then have some type
Oh
of
wow,
legal
people
conflict.
would rebel like like,
Yep.
like people would go ape shit over that. But what else did you watch then? Or was that it?
I watched the new John Mulaney
this is
special.
where
I
tune out
think we
for you
should
guys.
wait.
Kid
Hang on.
Gorgeous.
We should let Scott do everything else and then come back to Kid
Yeah,
Gorgeous. just
that
to
works.
close
I
That
it
feel,
out,
I feel like
just to
we
be
should do the
fair.
reverse
That
of
works.
that so that I can
Yeah.
cut my thing short if you guys take
All right.
45 minutes to talk about it.
Well, then let me do my list first before we go into Kid
Okay,
Gorgeous,
cool.
then, just so that we're fair. I watched.
Hit me with it.
Watched more of Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Nice. I started that
okay.
as well.
It continues to be hilarious. But I find
And it always will be.
it's best to be done in 1 to 2 episode stints, just because if you watch too much of it, you kind of lose the shock that the absurdity has with it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's funny because it's ridiculous.
That's fair.
But if you watch a lot of it, you're like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's always ridiculous.
You know it's coming.
Yeah, I cut it up into 1 to 2 episode bunches so that you can truly enjoy the absolute insanity that it is. I watched. I can't believe I'm about to say this. I watched that Adam Sandler and Chris Rock movie that's on Netflix.
Oh, the new one that came out.
the
Okay,
week
that's
before.
that's the reason I watched Grown Ups. I saw it and I was like, I'm gonna watch Grown Ups instead.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It wasn't any good.
But
Eh?
that's not a surprise. Well, no, you have to take this with a grain of salt.
Is
I
it
don't
another
like
Adam Sandler? Is it another Adam Sandler self-produced movie?
I might be. I didn't look that deep into
Ah,
it, mostly because I didn't laugh. For
Was it
most of
supposed
the
to be
movie.
a
There were
funny
one?
one
Eh?
that- It's a comedy. It's a comedy.
Okay, that's
about
what I wasn't
how
sure
he's,
about.
He's trying to. So I'll just do a quick synopsis without.
Yeah, because I
ruining
don't
it.
watch it. Yeah.
So it's Adam Sandler is a dad.
Yeah.
A Jewish family lives on Long Island in New York City, so like super stereotype. I could not handle the accents because it was completely overblown. It might be what they talk like, I don't know. But he's trying to pay for his daughter's wedding, and
Okay.
she's marrying Chris Rock's son.
Okay.
And Chris Rock is a rich surgeon who lives in LA.
Okay.
And so the whole
I feel like this would have been better if Chris Rock's character wasn't rich. Like if he had been poor and like
but
he was
then
trying his best to pay
a
for the
bunch of
wedding.
people would call foul on the
Yeah,
racial
I was gonna
stereotype.
say, that
so
would
you
be,
flip
yeah.
it.
Well, flip it then. You know, have him be rich and then like have one rich, one poor, and then have like the poor guy like trying his damnedest to be like, no, bro, I'm paying
That's
for it. Like,
exactly.
I was gonna say,
what
isn't
Let
that
me-
yeah, Adam Sandler's
the
the poor?
That's
entire
it. Oh,
time?
God damn it.
And the entire time things are going wrong, and it's really obvious all the stuff that they're gonna do to make it funny. Like there's the setup. The setup happens long before the set. Like I've already figured out the joke long before they've hit the joke, just because of how obvious the setup is.
Okay,
And then
I hate that.
God
the
damn
entire time things are going wrong, and they do the most ridiculous stuff to try to fix it. And the entire time Chris Rock's like, "Oh, just let me pay for it, man. Just let me pay for it."
Yeah.
And then of course it has to interject the stupid wholesome bit where Chris Rock's realizing that Adam Sandler's character has a better connection with his family and his own family than Chris Rock does because they're living two separate lifestyles, and it all comes together and everybody's happy at the end, and they have their
God.
wedding with the it was garbage. I laughed twice.
Sounds
maybe.
very cliche. Like
Maybe. God
Yeah.
damn it.
sounds
So
like
it was-
a computer wrote that. Like you typed in a computer program. And
Infinite monkeys
Yeah.
with infinite
Exactly,
typewriters, yes.
yeah.
Except that there was only half as many monkeys, and they were all using 3 typewriters.
Yeah.
And all of the monkeys were named Adam Sandler.
It sounds like 50 First Dates meets what was it? Not shit. What is it? The one with Andy Samberg and Adam Sandler. My Boy or That's My Boy.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
Like it sounds like a cross between
that
them.
was probably like where I cut off from watching any. I think the last Adam
My
Sandler
Big Fat
was
Greek
the
Wedding,
last,
yeah.
Like the second Grown Ups was probably the last one I've ever watched of
Yeah.
Adam Sandler.
I'll watch Grown Ups, but that's because it's not just him.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
like
only
it's a
reason I
lot
got
of funny
Yeah,
people.
exactly. That's the only reason
Chris
I watched
Rock
it.
did nothing to save this movie.
Yeah.
Damn, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
him.
So I watched.
I say it
that.
like he's dead to me.
Damn,
I really
I'm
liked
sorry,
him.
buddy.
I liked him.
I liked you, but it's too late for you. I did before we started this podcast. I started to watch a documentary called The Magic Pill, which I
Okay.
had understood was about diet pills. But
Okay.
after having watched most of it, it's not.
Is that the one about where it's like a supplement pill
No,
where like you
it's
can
about-
take it and it gives you all the
It's about it's about diet. Like it's about how it's about how we changed our diet to cut out fat and increase carbs because that's the only way you can do it. You can either do one or the other. Your body needs to have one or the other to survive, and carbs are just way worse for you.
Yeah.
And so it's about how back in the day we were like, no, fat's horrible, and we increased carbs to replace it. and now people are like, well, that's really bad for you, so they're flipping the pyramid and replacing carbs with fat.
Yeah.
That's what the documentary is about. It's about eating, I guess. Diet.
It sounds like something obvious.
Yeah.
Like that didn't really need a documentary.
Yeah, it's presented.
Needed a quick Google search.
It's presented well though, and some people won't see that. That's the thing though. Is for
Most
us,
people only learn from these things. Though.
We will absorb that
That's
sort
fair.
of information outside of the premise of a documentary.
Yeah, which is
But-
always just my little problem with some of these, like especially health documentaries. I'm just like,
Yep.
too many people are watching this and taking this as like science, and it's like, no, you have to look
yeah.
into their science a little bit.
Especially everyone that revolves around food.
Yeah.
And you
Exactly.
need to watch both
Like-
sides of it,
or
so
like
that
the
you can
dairy
see the
industry
bias.
or
Exactly right.
or
Like,
stuff
you
like
can't-
that. Like you got to take it all with a grain of salt. Like they're
everything.
finding the shadiest places to do that. Like everything against the dairy industry. Like I know there's people out there who hate it, who don't believe in it. That's fine and
Yeah.
dandy. You know, do your thing. Do you boo
Yeah,
boo?
You do you
But
boo boo.
I know a lot of very nice. I know a lot of very nice Dutchmen, and I know a lot of very nice Dutch farmers who are dairy farmers, and I believe they actually paid for their cattle, Craig. Just so you know.
Yes.
But they
They were
have
not
proof of
getting the milk
purchase.
for free, and
Yeah,
they had proof
no.
of purchase.
Yeah, they have proof of purchase, and I know damn well that they're not doing half the shit
Well,
that's
it's a
out
lot
there.
better in
so
Canada.
it's,
I know when I was growing
Yes.
up,
it's more regulated.
because we care about it in Canada a little bit more, and there's less of
Yeah.
us, so like we are a little bit easier
Yeah.
to like monitor that stuff. But like I remember I've been to a few dairy farms growing up, and it's like, no, the cows aren't getting like electrocuted and crammed. And it's like, yeah, maybe it's not their natural, but it's like,
Yep.
Set that animal free and see how long it lasts.
Forgets
Come
eaten
on,
by a
Playboy. Yeah. There's cougars around.
it's cougars.
Cougars.
Try to get
Especially
back on
Niagara with
movies.
Welland. Anyway, yeah. So
We're
that's
talking documentary stuff.
that's all I could think of that I watched this week.
Besides Infinity
I'm
War,
I
and
watched
John
well, yeah,
McClane
in-
and John
John Mulaney.
John
Yeah.
McClane.
Well, I wasn't.
No, I didn't watch Die Hard this
Yippee
week.
kayak, other buckets.
Yay. You know that's not right. I'm pretty sure it is.
Sure it is.
It was what's it called? A Pavlovian slip? Like I know it's not John
Yeah.
McClane. It's Mulaney. Is it John Mulaney?
John
Mulaney.
Mulaney, which is where we're
Mulaney.
going right. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah, you two
You're
go
about
off.
to get cut out because you need to be more
I
in
know.
tune.
I'm trying. It's funny. I actually knew this one was coming out.
It's an hour long. That's it.
I know.
But where I want to start with
Yeah.
start with Kid Gorgeous at Radio City is that John Mulaney was in Seth Rogen's Hilarity for Charity, and I don't remember if I said it on the podcast. I just said it to Andrew, but he didn't seem like John Mulaney for the first few minutes of his.
He
of his bit.
he kind of rushes
He
it.
came out yelling, which is not John Mulaney,
Yeah.
but it is John Mulaney.
No.
He didn't look like John Mulaney, he didn't sound like John Mulaney. I was like, oh shit, did
No.
he get old? Am I going to hate his next special? That did not happen
No.
at all,
Because he is Kid Gorgeous.
because it was perfect.
Well, that's good.
That's what I thought you'd say, you dumb fucking horse.
I'm going to go head towards the children in the incubators.
Yeah. He does a whole bit where he's talking about Trump, but he
But
never
he
mentions him by
Trump
name.
at all. He just talks about it's like
He's a
letting,
horse.
Yeah, like letting a horse loose in a hospital. And then
Yeah.
and then
Like that-
sometimes I talk to people who held the door open for the horse, and I go, "Why did you
Yeah.
hold the door open for the horse?" And they go, "The hospital was inefficient."
Okay.
What do we do? I don't know. This has never happened to us before.
But then he talks about like any potential nuclear war that was potentially there between North Korea and him, and he's like, you get this horse, and and he's just egging him on, and he's out there just saying shit. But then you get the hippopotamus, and they're both crazy. Like you're crazy, I'm crazy. It's like if you think you're crazy, it's a fucking hippopotamus. I swim in a lake of mud.
I will stomp you if you so much look at this hospital. In fact, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. I want to stomp you. It's so funny.
And that's just the one bit. And you're like, and he doesn't call anyone out by name. He just refers to them as stuff and puts them in a ridiculous situation. And then he has his obligatory, you know, he's been married for a couple years now, so he does his obligatory joke about his wife.
Yes.
But it's not your typical "oh, my wife sucks."
Nope.
It's more of a he asked his wife if it was okay if he used her as material. She's like, "Yeah, just don't say I'm a bitch and you don't like me." It's like, you just set the bar so low. But it's so funny.
yeah.
Like
I'll
he
get
does a
to
lot
it.
of jokes about his childhood.
Which
I
love. Like his
And
his
it's-
dad, the lawyer. And
Yep.
he's comparing him to the Nazis.
Yep. I was over there on the bench. So you watch him push him off the teeter-totter. Yeah, but I was over there on the bench. So let me just ask you this: if the Nazis in Germany, you know, if people who knew what the Nazis were doing,
And didn't
you know,
say anything.
were they good people? No. The Nazis. So what makes you different from a Nazi? Well, I was over there on the bench.
Yeah.
And I can picture that happening with many children.
I wish I could remember the exact wording, but he does a bit about that's how he gets into Nazis again. Is he's like, oh, there's Nazis again, and then
about his wife?
yeah, about his wife, and it's something about how like Jewish people are the worst and
fuck.
control everything. He's like, I know that
Jews are
How
the worst.
Do you know
they ruin
that?
Yeah. They ruin everything and they try to control your life. He's like, I know that. I'm married to one.
How do you know that? But yeah, top two jokes I think besides the horse, because the hospital was inefficient, just made me
Yeah.
lose it. But he does again more church jokes, and his dad picking him up by his shirt and saying God can't hear you is so funny.
I thought it was funny the part where he's talking to his wife about the Last
Thinks they're
Supper.
celebrating.
She's like, I get it, okay? And she kind of nags on Catholics and, you know, rips it apart a bit.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no. We all
all know
agree
about
on that. What do you think? Thanksgiving. Oh god, it was so funny.
Yes, and then there's
Anyways,
there's the one where
what were you saying?
I was gonna do my other favorite joke, is the one where he's talking about how we yell at our phones. It's like,
Yeah.
call home, calling mobile for Tom. No, not fucking Tom.
Tom. I feel like that Tom one is the same, like the way he's bitching about calling Tom is the same as how he felt about the junior airline Ted
Yes.
in the top part. Who the fuck is Ted? I went to high school with a guy named Ted. He's addicted to Oxycontin. I think my other favorite joke though is where he talks about college.
Yeah.
And just the way he leads into it. And he's like, you know, I got a letter from my college, and I opened it because, you know, mail, you know. So I open it and I read it, and they're like, give us money. We want money as a gift. Give us a gift, but it has to be money. He's like, well, I was under the impression that I did give you money. You know, I gave you. I did my whole 4 years at college, you know, and that was back in $1999, $15,000 a semester. So roughly $30,000 a year for 4 years. $120,000, and he just keeps using that number like to show how ridiculous it is.
Yes.
And I'm like, I support that because I don't support the educational system.
Then he goes.
Thank you,
into
John Mulaney.
His English degree. I got a degree for reading books
In a language
didn't
I-
read. In a
didn't
language
read.
I already
Language
spoke.
I already knew. And I was like, you just described every English degree ever.
All right, I think that's enough.
That's it. We
Surprisingly,
just described the whole
that's
the whole
all
special.
The Kid Gorgeous I can do without
Yeah.
going into
Yeah.
all the other John Mulaney.
Yeah. So Scott, what did you watch this week?
Well, I did not watch that even a little bit, but I did watch some other stuff.
It's only an hour.
I know, it's only an hour.
You're the kid at the sleepover who, after midnight, is like, "Well, it's tomorrow."
It's tomorrow. Remember when we watched that movie last night or tonight? Actually, that was yesterday.
Get the fuck out of here.
Kicks his sleeping bag.
Anyways,
Yeah,
continue,
so-
Scott. You set me up a little bit for it, so I took it.
So I saw Avengers Infinity War like you guys did, but again, we'll talk about that next week. I started watching Flying Circus, just like Craig had been doing, just so I can
Good
get
choice.
some. Yes, I like to put it on when I'm just like doing like making dinner or something like that, like something I can half pay attention to it, or if I'm not, I can hear their ridiculousness in the background. So that's been good.
Yep.
I watched the whole Series of Unfortunate Events Season 2. That was last weekend. I forgot to mention it in last week's thing.
Was it as good as the first season?
I would say so. I kind of even like it a little bit more because it's finally getting...
Oh,
I
really?
like it because this takes me back to when I read the books as a kid. So that's what I really like about it. I
Okay.
find that they're really like good to like drawing on like certain things from the books and leaving out others, and explaining a lot more of the backstory of like what their parents were involved with is a little bit more easy to understand in the show than in the books, because the books is a little bit more like interlaced.
You have to put it. You kind of have to think about it
You have
yourself.
to, and it's a lot harder to put the pieces together in the book than the show,
Yeah.
which has it kind of condensed. You watch a whole episode in an hour as opposed to
That's
taking
true.
like a couple days to read one of the books back. So it's like I like that about it. It's finally getting. It ended literally on the episode. The episode it ended on is from the book, the last book I read in that series. So I'm just really excited for the third season to eventually come out, so I can finally find out whatever happens to those kids. Yeah,
enough.
so that was good. I feel like if you haven't really read the books, it doesn't really have that much of an appeal, other than like.
It's been probably 18 years since I read
It's
them.
definitely been close to that for me too. But like, just for any of our listeners in general, like, I don't know how to recommend it to anyone else, but like how I would recommend it, because the only reason I like it is because I read the books and I'm just really curious to see what they do with that, like with that source material. So I watched that last weekend. I watched all my normal stuff, Arrow, Flash, yada yada. But one thing was kind of cool on S.H.I.E.L.D. They had a little Infinity War reference, which wasn't a lot. Yeah,
damn.
so all they say is one chick's like, or one person's like, do you hear what's happening in New York right now? And they're like, we're too busy for that. And they just keep going with the thing. But it's like, that's Infinity War. A little Infinity War reference. What's going on in New York right now? Because and that's not a spoiler because that's in the trailers. So,
That's
but yeah, I thought that was cool that they did
check us out next week and we'll talk more about it.
exactly future promos. Anyways, I also watched Hot Fuzz for our new video series for YouTube, which is called Rewatch, Revisit, and Review. And where I rewatched the movie, I revisited
think
it,
about
and
it, eh?
reviewed it. So yeah,
There we
if you
go.
want to know more about that, they can go watch that video. Again, promoting the YouTube channel. That's at Forgot to Grow Up. Just so people know. Just search that on YouTube. Anyways, I also watched the Batman and Harley Quinn animated movie finally. I liked it. It was fun.
It's it's pretty
It's
good.
a little,
Yeah.
I found it interesting that Harley Quinn and
Nightwing kind of fool
I'm
around
just
a
like,
bit.
"Man, that's interesting, but whatever." I'm like, when you
I always forget that. I always forget
Yeah.
his name. But like the big bad green guy, Poison Ivy's buddy
Yeah.
buddy. In it, I always forget
I
his
could
name.
tell you it
But
now.
I always forget that he's the character from Batman and Robin. The guy doing the experiments on Bane.
he's supposed to be that guy.
That's
I
who he
didn't
is.
know
Yeah.
that. That's not the same guy whatsoever.
No, same name, totally different.
That was Lex Luthor's
different
dad.
thing, yeah.
That was Lionel.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But the
Yeah.
animated show or movie was pretty good. It was enjoyable, along the same lines as
It was weird animation though. They made the faces look weird.
I thought that same thing. It was a little strange, but
I like all the other DC animated
Yeah.
looks where it's a little more. I don't even know how to
Crisp.
describe it. It's just not
yeah,
not
that one had like a kid
like
feel.
Nightwing's always looked better with different
Yeah.
hair. I'm totally fine with like his Caesar cut, like in
Yeah,
what was it? Oh man, It's the one where Neil Patrick Harris is the voice of Nightwing. Oh, it's the Red Hood.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking of. Batman the Red Hood, Under the Red Hood. And I like that one. He's got the Caesar haircut. It's pretty short.
Yeah, I think
like
it's,
it. But it's just, I think it was just the animation, like how big
That's
their
what I was gonna
faces
say, like,
were.
the faces and their expressions on their faces were very like almost, I don't want to say anime, but like kind of like American anime, if that makes sense.
They remind me of my cats, like the
definitely,
facial motion
like,
features. They're like
really expressive and very like it had a strangely like kid type feel to it for considering it has a kind of sex scene in it.
Explicit.
Like, it's not quite a sex scene, but it's pretty like she raises an eyebrow to what I imagine is his boner, and it's like, okay, guys, come on.
Well, I mean, it's not like Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, where they straight up show you an animated nipple.
Yeah, that's
they go out of their way to show you an animated woman's nipple.
These are the things that I'm just like, no, guys, this is unnecessary. We don't need to draw in nudity and sex into things. It's just too far. It's just too far, guys.
there's a line crossed
like when it just happens
lonely
in a movie,
guys.
like, oh yeah, real woman, just gotta take a shirt off. But you went through the time to draw like 30 frames of some animated nipple. We should reconsider what we're doing in life just sometimes. Just that's all I'm saying.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
By frame 15, you should have been like, why am I doing this? It would have been easier just to draw the towel further up.
Exactly. Anyways, though, the last thing I watched just was the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer. Did you guys have a chance to check that out?
I did. I didn't realize that Lawrence Fishburne, because I don't know why, but I thought he was the villain in it. And when I found out that he's playing Goliath, I was like, "Oh damn!
Same here.
That's another big name in the Marvel universe."
That was awesome. I really liked it. The joke between them was a little stupid, a little bit like childish, but I still like that they brought him into the universe and that he has like kind of a significant role. I'm hoping maybe,
especially because he was a grower too. I'm hoping that he kind of trains.
Teaches him how to get like how to use his bigger abilities more and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. Or like if his he passes on his ability to like his son or whatever. Because I can't remember how Goliath in the comics does his changing, but I'm not sure if it's the Pym particle as well or not.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that Ant-Man, or not even, well, it's weird. There's a whole comic book history to it that's just confusing because Hank Pym, who's technically the old guy in the Ant-Man movie, is the actual Ant-Man, and he went by like every single name at one point. Like he was Yellow Jacket, he was Wasp, he was Goliath at one point too. So it's just ridiculous through the comics to try and keep up with all that. So I'm not really sure where Goliath's power comes from. It might be the same, but I thought that looked good too.
He just got a huge dick, and that's why people call him Goliath.
Possible.
Probably not, but
definitely
possible.
Not in this Marvel movie.
No.
But that's everything I watched this week, which I think brings us to the end. Unless you guys had anything else.
The podcast episode. Holy
yes,
crap.
we had a longer one this week, which has been a couple weeks since we've had this long one. I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I can't believe we talked about the Avengers for so long.
We really didn't, to be honest.
I do. No, well, I could have gone longer.
Very off track.
I could have gone longer.
I could always go longer.
It felt short until I looked at the time, and I was like, "We've been talking about this for an hour."
Yeah.
Make sure you tune in next week. Check out our Infinity War discussions. Give our opinions, and if you haven't seen it, go see it. What are you waiting for?
The whole movie.
We need to talk about. Go sit in a corner in a chair at the movie theater and think about what you did before the movie starts.
Thanks.
Don't bring your children to 10:45 showings on a Thursday.
Oh my god, that brings me. Okay, when I went on Monday. When I went Monday to see it, okay, 20 minutes into the friggin' movie, this guy, his wife, and his 3 daughters show up. And they walk up, and I was in the prime seats. I was in the second row back of the prime seats with 3 open seats beside me. So clearly someone's sitting there. And then there's 2 open seats in front of me. 2 people are going to sit there. That's just math. And they stand there and they look around. They shine their flashlight on their phone down the aisle on the seats. And then they go get the manager to come back and say, yeah, those are your seats.
Oh, God.
So the 3 girls, they cut in front of the row, and they're all small, so it's easy. No one's stepping on anything. They get to their seats. They're quiet. They're good. Cool. High five. Boom. Didn't high five them, though. But then the husband and the wife, the mom and dad, they need to get over to their seats, and they're like they had to stop and talk to every single person as they go by. And I'm like, listen, you're 20 minutes into the movie. If you were 20 seconds into the first preview, I would want to kill you just as much as I want to kill you now. Sit down, watch the movie. Okay, brush your teeth. Boom! Orange juice. That's life. That was a John Mulaney quote, guys. Thanks for checking us out this week. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.